Hey guys, hey, thanks for joining me today. Today I kind of wanted to go a little bit different on a topic, and this is something that I think a lot of society overlooks, in the sense that society is very quick to label. They're very, very quick to judge. We think that, okay, just because we haven't, done anything wrong or, gotten in trouble with the law or anything like that, like we're some kind of perfect, people, and we're not. So today what I want to talk about is the psychological effects of long-term prison incarceration. And I think that this is something that really needs to be looked into. I'm very, very passionate about this, and I am very, very passionate about, helping inmates and, for that release. Like if they're in, 10, 15, 20, 30 years and they get out and they don't have a family, what are they supposed to do? Where are they supposed to go? Where, what kind of job? Where are they supposed to live? Like, how can we maintain a steady, a stable, introduction back into society? And I think that that's really, it's heartbreaking. So the first psychological effects of prison incarceration that I want to talk about is the mentality to conform to new rules. In this sense, in a prison sense, it's a very hostile environment. There, the gentlemen there that, have long sentences, more or less, they are unable to never see a traumatic event. They are going to see something that's going to happen sometime that mentally will affect them. And then the problem with this is they have to, it's sort of this tug of war, this struggle with, okay, well, do I conform to, the new rules, which is being, a solid inmate, or, or whatever you want to call it, or, do I go by the moral obligations of a human being? Do I try to help this person? Do I, step in? Do I stay out of it? Like, what do I do? Because prison's totally different from regular society. And I think a lot of people forget that. It's a continuous system. People have to understand here that the psyche, when you go into prison, will never be the same when you come out. Day in and day out, it's a continuous systematic destruction of someone's psyche. I mean, you have to adopt new attitudes, new behaviors, new changes, the way you make decisions. Everything you know about human behavior is changed. And it's, spun and flipped upside down. So you are learning how to, interact in a completely different manner. That's totally outside of, society as the norm. And to me, this is a big hindrance because it really affects, the inmates once they're re-released, the ability to form new relationships. And I don't just mean with, females. I mean with anybody, a new boss, a tenant, landlord, employee, anything like that. There's going to be, issues there. The second one I want to go to is loss of humanity. This symptom, I have a big heart, and this really breaks my heart a lot. A lot of the inmates I've noticed tend to have, depression, suicidal behaviors, paranoia that somewhere someone's out to get them, or somebody's going to fucking do them wrong, or, that sort of thing. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is a big deal. And the problem is their mentality, their psyche had to fracture to live in a prison environment, and that's very, very sad. They are forced to live by, this kind of new environment, and then once they're, they've had to learn how to behave and change their ways of thinking and attitude, once they're, done with their sentence and they're kicked out, that way of living is no longer acceptable in public. So now they're having to learn how to change and, reiterate themselves into society, and this harbors confusion, frustration, unsure of, emotions. They are left psychologically and emotionally unprepared. And you know, I really think that we need to help them a little bit, you know, more than what we're doing, because we just don't give a shit as a society. Like, okay, well, you know, they're inmates, you know, they're the bad people. No. Okay, no. That's what I got to say about it. No, they went to prison. That is not who they are. Okay, next topic. Socialization skills, as I was saying, decision making in prison is a need to survive. So, you know, they're going to have to relearn how to behave, relearn the way they talk, the stance, you know, if, you know, they're going to be, you know, a little more, you know, intimidating as a tactic. These skills are unacceptable once they are re-entered back into society. But generally, people that, the inmates that have had long-term incarceration or, you know, habitual years, you know, they get into 3 years and then they go back 2 3 years, you know, that sort of thing. They can't build meaningful relationships. They have difficulty doing that. The perceptions that they have of women, especially, you know, once they go in at a younger age, tend to be skewed and distorted. So they see these women, you know, in magazines and things like that. So they think that what they see or hear, you know, behind these prison walls is the way it is. And in actuality, it's not. It's actually quite different. So they're having to be a chameleonaire, and in turn, it sucks. It's very, very difficult for them. They're very guarded with, which brings me to the next one. They're guarded interactions with females and, you know, women, things like that. They, in an ex-con's mind, someone that has gone to prison for years, generally someone that has had childhood trauma, or maybe, you know, sometimes what I like to say, a chip off the old block, maybe, you know, their father or, you know, brother, grandfather, whatever, has gone to prison. They carry, you know, those crosses that they bear. They are labeled as ex-cons. They are labeled, you know, as troublemakers, as, you know, shitbags, and like they're less than us, or, you know, they're not worthy. And society, I think, is very unforgiving, you know, for that. So I think people need to realize that, you know, when we're labeling the ex-cons, you know, oh, ex-cons, like I said, that's not who they are. That is where they went. That is not who they are as a person, okay? And I think that that's something that, you know, in turn produces, and it causes the inmates, you know, distortion of who they are, their self-worth. It causes self-depreciation and self-loathing. Like when you're constantly sitting there beating someone down, you know, oh, you're worthless, fucking ex-con, oh, you fucking felon, da-da-da. Okay, well, give them a chance. Give them a chance, because I'm pretty sure, lo and behold, there's probably some shit that we've done that we just haven't been caught yet. I'm just saying, let's keep it real. Okay, the next one is the overwhelming sense of fear. The fear goes up, and generally these inmates do not want to go back, you know, so it's this state of anxiety and fear kind of, you know, keeps them in that mental state, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go back. So, you know, their emotional capacity, their psychological capacity, I mean, they're now having anxiety and fear, and they're having to worry. At some point, if they don't learn how to have this managed or taught to help rehabilitate them, this capacity is going to be overwhelmed. And the rule of thumb, people snap when their ability to cope is overwhelmed. And I don't think that anyone should have to go through that. I really, really don't. The next one I want to do is the mentality of being institutionalized. A lot of them, I think, tend to, you know, have the mentality they go back because that's all they know. You know, that's their comfort zone. That's their comfort level. And, you know, it's quite sad. I'm one of those people, I rate, you know, inmates all the time. And, you know, I try to go there and I try to just, you know, talk to them like, you know, because they are human beings at the end of the day. They're not fucking monsters just locked in a cell. I'm sorry, I have a heart. That's me. You know, it's a very monotonous life, you know, behind the walls, you know, of a prison, you know, that sort of thing. The mental state, like I said, and, you know, the self-doubt, not only has it been beaten into them, because of that, they stop, these inmates, these gentlemen that are coming out, it's almost like they stop themselves before they give themselves a chance. And I'm going to throw in a little quote from Michael Jordan here. And Michael Jordan once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, I think these gentlemen really, you know, should be given a little more, you know, value than, you know, what people are saying, like, or, you know, how society is treating them. Like, nobody's perfect. Okay, you know, and to me, this is just, it's not only, you know, negative and positive reinforcement. This is also, this keeps them in an isolation lock, this isolation fucking tomb. So not only when they're in prison in this isolation, they get out in society and think, oh, you know, oh, vampire, you fucking, you know, ex-con piece of shit. So now we're putting them back in isolation, and that's not right. That's not right. I have a problem with that. I have a very big fucking problem with that, okay? Next is, creates a dissociative personality. A lot of times these inmates, you know, when they get out, they want to escape kind of who they, you know, the image that they were there. I mean, they had to become a chameleon, and they had to live and modify their behavior and learn how to sit, talk, drink, eat, fucking, you know, everything else that, you know, once they get out, you know, what are you to do now? I also think that because of, you know, the chameleon style change, you know, being in there, they're having to modify their behavior. And so how do we really know at the end of the day that that is their behavior? You know, what if they're modifying themselves just to survive in there? You know, and then to me, this promotes violence. It promotes, you know, the numbing of the personality, the numbing of the psyche, who this person really is. I mean, everybody has to think nobody is perfect, okay? And I don't give a shit what you did. I don't give a shit if you went to prison for drugs. I don't give a shit if you went to prison for a fucking third time, you know, driving on suspended, okay? Here's where I think society gets this fucked up. You have your sentence, okay? These inmates have their sentence. They complete their sentence. They get released. Yet, we still give them that cross to bear. Why? Why? How is that? That retribution is done. We gave them their sentence for their crime. They completed it. Now they're back into society. That's not retribution. That's called revenge. And if people want to sit there and still, you know, oh, the cross you bear, okay, well then obviously society's not learning a fucking thing, okay? They completed their sentence. Let's just be done with it, okay, and move on. Now, if they want to be a habitual, you know, and they keep going back for the same thing, I mean, that can stem, you know, something maybe from childhood, you know, which is a whole other topic, you know, but that sort of thing, you know, and some people, I just think if we would give them more of the benefit of the doubt, I think that, you know, that would raise their self-esteem and their self-worth. And I think that the recidivism rate, you know, for, you know, repeat offenders, habitual offenders would go down. You know, I currently, there's a gentleman, you know, that I more or less have become acquainted with, you know, and this person does have a lengthy, you know, prison record, whatever. I just think he's amazing. I think he's an awesome person. I think deep down, like, he has a great heart. And I just think, you know, he's gotten in with wrong people and he's done some fucked up shit. And unfortunately, you know, society still looks at him as, you know, ex-con. Oh, okay. Fucking felon, whatever. And not me. Like, I mean, he's just like, you know, for a while there, a star in my eye, but, you know, that's another topic. So anyway, you know, I just want to finish up and tie this and say this, you know, if we can, let's, you know, if we cannot commit to the concept of trying to help those become emotionally rehabilitated and, you know, helping them get on their feet, you know, after incarceration, then perhaps we as individuals need to step back and, take a moment to commit to our concept of our character. So, like I said, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. And thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to have a great discussion tomorrow. Bye.